water today.
All right. Comment or questions?
Yeah, obviously coming off of a tough weekend, disappointing loss last week, Mississippi State. I think, we've talked about that after the game, talked about it with our players yesterday, and the way this league is now, we just got to move on. And our players understand where they are, what we need to do, the challenges that we're facing, and so does our coaching staff. So, as quickly as you talk about last weekend, you don't have any time really to look back because Ole Miss is a team that's playing very, very well right now. Obviously, they came off of a big victory at home, and for us, it'll be good for us to be back at Kyle Field. This will be our fourth SEC football game. It'll be our first one at home. Something that I think will draw a lot of energy from being at home and also from our fans, because we've had great support on the road. We've had great support in Dallas, and we've had great support for our home games that we've had here. So for us, I don't think being back home could come at a better time. And I think our guys are anxious to get back out on the field and prove who they are. I think the feel of our team right now is a little disappointed, but certainly Mississippi State, as I said after the game, had a lot to do with that, our inconsistency last week. But fortunately, that hasn't been indicative of the type of football we've played around here, and I think our guys are anxious to get back on the field and play again. Questions?
Right. It's down front right.
Coach, when you went back and analyzed the tape, particularly with the drops, do you feel like it was mostly your pass catchers, mostly Kenny, or a little bit of both?
Well, when you look at the video, which you don't have to, you were there too. Those guys, we had 11 drops. We had probably 15 if you were really being real salty about it. So, that's part of your job as a receiver to catch the football, and we didn't do that.
Other questions over here, Sam? In the middle.
How would you evaluate the offensive line play, particularly in these last 2 weeks?
I thought that, you look back at our game Saturday, and I thought we were fairly efficient in what we did. We had no penalties on offense. I thought we were able to run it, efficiently. Not great, but efficiently. The protection for what we had to do to try to get back in the game, to throw it all the time, I thought that was decent. Overall, I think last week was okay. I think we got into a different kind of football game, where when you're behind where we were, you have to be able to pass protect, and people know it, and you get different blitzes, you get different looks. But I thought our guys handled it pretty well.
Go over here to the left, Cease.
Kevin, when you look back over the stretch, was maybe the youth of your team being away from home so long was it a little more daunting than maybe you thought when you look back over these last 3-4 years?
That's a good question, Cease. I don't know. I think it could be that Arkansas maybe took a little bit more out of us than we thought. The whole experience with young guys. It certainly did from a physical standpoint, from certain guys not being able to play or playing sparingly last week. So, but that's not an excuse. Everybody's in this deal right now. And I said yesterday, people talk about the SEC and And, you know, this part of our schedule being the gauntlet, the good news to our team is, hey, we're part of that gauntlet, you know. So we've brought this program to a point where not only are we running in the gauntlet, but we're part of the gauntlet. And so, you know, you've got to play like that and to be there. And, you know, is it difficult? Yeah, but that's what you want. I think our guys will be excited, you know, to have the #3 team in the country here in front of 105,000, 6,000 people on national TV at 8 o'clock at night. You know, that's it doesn't get any bigger than that. So, you know, I like our attitude right now. I think that you know, going into this season and going through this stretch, I think everybody knew it was going to be difficult, and it shouldn't be a surprise. Now, how you react and how you deal with that, that's where the challenge comes. And you know, that's week to week, and that's not just for us. That's for everybody in this league, particularly in the West.
We'll go down front, Christy, then Brent, and then Suzanne.
How do you expect Kenny to, A, learn from, and B, respond to the adversity that he faced last week?
You know, I think, you know, I look back, and if you really analyze the video, you know, if you just look at the numbers, you can draw one conclusion. If you look at how the numbers were put up, you'll draw another conclusion. I think, you know, a couple of the interceptions were off of us. We're basically hit our hands, or one hit him and flipped back up in the air. And we put him in positions where we had to throw it every time, and they knew it. And so, you know, to operate the way he did, you know, with the number of drops that happened, you know, it wasn't a poor performance by him. It takes a complete team, just like it took a complete team to beat Arkansas the week before. It took a complete team for a performance like last weekend. And so our challenge is to correct our mistakes as they are every week, whether we win or lose, and keep his confidence level high and keep him playing at the level that he's accustomed to, and get our other players to play at that level also. So, you know, an evaluation of him is that he's got to continue to get better, which he understands, but there's more than just him on the field. And you've heard me say before, it's just like the question you asked, you know, it's part of playing a quarterback. And as a young quarterback, you have to learn. It's just like the head coach. You get way too much credit when you win, and you get all the blame when you lose. And regardless of how he plays, that comes with the territory of playing quarterback, particularly at this level.
Down front, Brent, and then goes Suzanne.
How would you evaluate your linebacking play at this time, and how could it be better moving forward?
I think that obviously we're limited with you know, with A.J. Hilliard being out. You know, Jordan coming off of an ankle has been okay. You know, Sean Washington, getting him back was big, and you know, he's really only had a couple games where, three games where he's been thrown right into the mix, and you know, he's given us a real shot in the arm. You know, Donnie Baggs has, for what we've asked him to do, has much improved over last year. We haven't really put him in a position to make a whole lot of plays off the line of scrimmage, as many as he does on the line of scrimmage. So, you know, from a depth issue, as we discussed this morning, you know, from a depth issue, that's probably one area on our football team where we don't have as many players as we do at every other position, whether it's the D-line or whether it's defensive back or offensive defense. You know, that's probably the one position where we lack the depth that other positions have. So those guys are playing more plays than anybody, and the injury to A.J. Hilliard really kind of pushed things back, and now Justin Bass has been kind of a jack of all trades in there, and has really helped us. You know, he can play Mike, he can play Will, and really has the opportunity to get Jordan and Sean off the field some, which we need to do in this league.
Suzanne, and then we'll go Gabe.
Kevin, two-part question. First, do we have an update on Malcolm Kennedy?
Probable.
Probable? Okay. And the other question, with your up-tempo and accelerated tempo, and you've got to get in a good rhythm, what completion percentage do you absolutely have to make the offense at an optimum level?
I don't think you have to have what was the question? Was I absolutely have to have?
I've talked to other coaches, and they've said anywhere between 65 and 70%. I've never asked you about the way your offense runs in a rhythm. How much do you?
Sure.
Kenny's been, up and down, and it still works.
Yeah, he's been up and down, but I think, completion percentage is not just the quarterback, as we just talked about earlier. Completion percentage has to do with guys' ability to get open, guys' ability to catch the football. And so, yeah, we complete. We're up in 65% range usually. Higher than that, get up close to 70. We've been in the 70s, depending on how many times you throw the football too. So game plans. I think there's kind of a misconception that we have the same game plan every week for the amount of throws that we have, and that's not necessarily the truth. And games differ. That game changed very, very quickly. For us playing. So, I think from a percentage standpoint, it's hard to put a definite number on that, but certainly 65% or so is going to be pretty good for us. The big percentages come on third down. Now what are you doing? And we weren't very good on third down offensively last weekend, and that along with some other things told the story.
We'll go here, Gabe, and then to the very back with Daryl.
Kevin, you get a sense that Speedy Noyles, he's starting to show signs, but is really on the verge of emerging and blowing up individually.
Well, I got some questions last week why he didn't start. I think people forgot he had surgery like a week before. So let's just back off on the guy a little bit. Yeah, I know, he's fine, but he's a freshman who had knee surgery, less than 3 weeks ago. We're gonna bring him along. He wants to play. We want him to play, but there's a lot of things that are involved with him. He's an explosive player, and we're going to do things that are going to help him and help us. But we're also going to give him an opportunity to grow, because he basically had 2 weeks off.
All right, we'll go to the very back, Daryl, and then down front, Kate.
Coach, I know that Ole Miss had a pretty good defense going into the Alabama game, and people said, well, let's see who they play and how they play against Alabama. What did they show you against Alabama Saturday?
Well, they've given up their first-string defense has given up 1 touchdown all year, and Alabama got 10 points. They got 1 defensive score to get to 17. So, they're leading the league. They're number 2 nationally in scoring defense. They're giving up 10.2 a game. Less than that if you just go with the first string guys out there and take away the defensive score. So they're playing very, very well. This is a talented team. You're looking at the nation's number 1 recruiting class a couple years ago. Guys kind of took their lumps a little bit. They're growing up now. A lot of guys on defense that are playing well as a unit, playing with a lot of confidence, playing very, very well offensively with a veteran quarterback. Bo Wallace is one of the few veteran guys, just like last week in Dak Prescott, the veteran quarterbacks that we'll face in this league this year. He operated very, very well. So, defensively, they've been really stout. And they lead the league in interceptions, and lead the league in giving up the least amount of points. So you better pay attention to that. That's pretty good defense, particularly when you're talking about playing in this league and who they're playing against.
Down front here, Kate, and then we'll go to the back with Mike.
2, if I could, just to follow up on the A.J. Hilliard mention again. Is there any hope for him this season? Do we have a timeline on his return?
I don't know. That was a pretty serious, significant injury. He had a plate and I think 8 or 10 screws put in there as a dislocation. So I don't know. Put it that way.
And then I asked Jake about this last week, but we talked so much about Cam Clear and the preseason and then the game plan so much around him for South Carolina, and then we haven't seen him much. What do you guys want to see out of him?
Well, he's just got to get better. You know, you get a high ankle sprain like he got. You know, you guys have seen that before in sports, you know, particularly with big guys. You know, they can look good, and then one little movement during the week, and you got to practice, and that thing you tweak it, and he slows down a little bit. So, you know, we got to get him healthy, and we're trying to do that. Trying to bring him back along, and you know, certainly we want him to be a part of what we're doing. And he's big, he's talented, he's athletic, but you know, he's had some issues with that ankle, and that's been kind of a setback. And I know he's been, it's been disappointing for him.
Go to the back, Mike, and then Sam here in the middle.
After the game, Coach Mullen said that they had that the corners are great, but they had some size advantages and they took advantage of them in the game. Do you think that part of that was Devontae trying to get back after his injury, and how do you try and make that better for Ole Miss?
I didn't understand your question. You said something about size advantage, and
yeah, Mullen said that after the game, the wide receivers took advantage of the size they had on the corners. How are you going to try and get your players in better position against Ole Miss because they have just as big wide receivers as well?
We just got to play better. You know, we can't grow. You know, we got 5'9", 5'10", 5'11" guys. So we got the guys we got. We can't go out and trade and get 6'2", 6'3" corners by Saturday night. So we got to play better position and understand, you know, leverage on the ball, understand what we can do, what we can't do from a physical standpoint with some of these guys. And, you know, it's a catch-22. You stand off, let them catch it, you know, they get 4 or 5 yards, you jump on them. So we got to mix it up. And, you know, that's just part of playing defense.
Here in the middle, Sam.
No, you and Coach Freeze came in around the same time into this league, and you guys have had pretty close battles these last 2 years. Do you see any similarities in your two programs as you guys have built into SC West contention?
You know, I don't. You know, Hugh is a good friend, and I've known him a long time. And you know, we came into the league, and it seems like yesterday that we were asking each other about what to wear to the first meeting, and even SEC media days. What's going on with that? Because I was the first guy right out of the chute, but we've certainly had some close games. I'm just happy we're playing at home. I thought we'd be 3 straight years in a row we're going to go over there. But no, he's done a fabulous job. You know, you look at where that program has come to since he's been there in a short amount of time. You know, you look back 3 years ago and to say that I think anybody at that time when both of us were hired, you know, wouldn't have thought that in year 3 you'd have number 14 and number 3 playing at 8 o'clock at night, you know, in front of 106,000 people. A lot of things have changed in 3 years. And, you know, he's done a fabulous job with that program. Big win last week, a signature one. And, you know, to be where they are right now, that takes a lot of effort, a lot of planning, a lot of leadership, and good players. And you know, he's done that at the high school level. He's done it at the lower level in college football, and he's doing it at the highest level right now. So he's done a marvelous job.
We'll go back middle, KO.
Hey, Coach, going into this Ole Miss game, either offense or defensive side of the ball, what's your biggest concern looking at Ole Miss?
Everything. It's you know, what is my biggest concern? Shoot, they're undefeated. There's only, 10 teams left that haven't lost a game? So you don't get to this point of the year with playing one-sided football. You know, like I just said, they lead the league in defense. They're second nationally in scoring defense. They've got a veteran quarterback that has played a lot of football. And, as we've played against him every year, and I think last week, he made plays to win the game, and they're surrounded with talented players that offensively and defensively that they're explosive. So, they've done everything that they've needed to do to be where they are right now, including takeaways, where they lead the league in interceptions too. So, is that enough for you to be worried about? A little bit. You don't get to this point of the year, midway through the season, and play the kind of competition that they've played, and be a fluke. They're a good football team.
Down front here, Brent.
I'm going to go ahead and include James White in this group. You've got 4 talented backs. How do you best utilize those guys moving forward at this point? Or do you feel like they've been utilized to their potential at this point?
I think they've been utilized. I think they've been, there's the Arkansas game was probably a little bit more physical than you think. We've got some guys that are limping around a little bit. We've got a couple guys a little nicked up. And I think they're appreciative of the fact that they've been able to rotate. I think our rushing numbers over the year, from a statistical standpoint, are pretty good. Just because we don't have one guy that's at 100 a pop a game doesn't mean that we're underutilizing them. I think they'll be the first to tell you that they're pretty, at this point of the season, they're pretty happy with the rotation. And James White is for him to be the youngest guy, and he's playing a lot of special teams right now. He's fine where he is, but we're glad that we have him, because you look back a week ago, the first play of the game, Brandon Williams is out after the first touchdown for the whole game. So that's why we need all those running backs, particularly in the league that we're playing in right now. And I think they're doing a good job.
Overall, do you feel like they're getting enough carries?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's easy to look back last week, number one, because we lost, but number two, because of the type of game that we were in, where we're not going to be able to run it to get back in a game when you're behind that much. Or we could, but we run out of time. So the utilization of them before last week has been just fine.
Last question, Zach, here in the middle left.
Coach, I wouldn't say it's comforting at all, but knowing that your team can still write much of what's left in the season, kind of write their own history, I guess, playing teams that not only in the SEC West, as far as controlling their destiny in division play, but also on a national level, because so many of the teams in your division are ranked high up there.
Is there a question?
What was it? Is that a question?
Well, just as far as that's got to be somewhat, I guess, build confidence in you, knowing that you can still write your own destiny even after just one loss?
No, I don't think like that. I think that whole, control your own destiny deal is, we don't ever talk about that. Because guess what? The other team does too.
All right.
So, you know what? You play the games that are in front of you. And we got enough on our plate this week playing against an undefeated team that's as good as anybody in the country right now.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.